As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. This book is designed to reveal the truth about creation. It shows men and women that they themselves are the makers of themselves by virtues of their thoughts and their choices. It's about understanding that, yes, we are on this journey. And as we embark on this journey, we will encounter people, places, and situations that will help raise your consciousness and help raise your awareness. It's reminding us that each man and woman holds the key to every condition they encounter, whether it be positive or if it's negative. You know, what enters your life is a result of your conditions, a result of who you are. So by working on yourself and paying attention to your thoughts and aligning with your higher self, you can remake your life. You can transform your circumstances. As the saying goes, as above, so below, as below, so above. When one starts to shift their thoughts, desires, their vibration, their feelings, they start to attract who they are, right? We attract what we become, not what we want in life. For me, this aligns very much so because when I started to really invest in these books, I was in a place in my life where I was looking for more answers. I was in a place in my life where doing the actions, doing the mechanics, and working hard and doing the things that I've always supposed to do was not necessarily yielding the results that I wanted in life. I was looking to have a life with more ease and flow. So for me, that required turning inwards and moving away from external validation to make me happy. It was about making myself happy by aligning with my true self, my higher self. And this is how I started to get introduced to the books of Neville Goddard, Thomas Trowell, The Kabbalion. And not only was I looking for those books, but I also found that they were looking for me. The people, places, and circumstances around me were introducing me to a new way of thinking, a new way of being, a new way of aligning with my higher self. And as we know, everything is energy, and everything is formed from consciousness. So as you raise your level of consciousness, your thoughts align with your new way of thinking. And then what's drawn to you begins to shift. And this is the premise of today's session. It's highlighting that we are the dreamers of our dreams. We are the makers of our reality. And to know this is to change your world. And again, the purpose of today's share, and every time I do this, is to really highlight quotes that resonated with me, share experiences as to where I was when I encountered these readings, how it made an impact on my life, and hopefully it resonates with you. The beauty of this is regardless of where you are in your journey, whether you're a non-believer, where you're at the infancy of your journey, where you're at the middle, at the end, there's always something that you can pull from it. There's always something that can mirror back to you where you are. And my hope is through these journeys, you begin to know who you are. Matter of fact, who you've always been, and how the world you experience is a reflection of your truth. The book is full of several aphorisms and quotes that really get you to reflect on yourself. The aphorism, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, not only embraces the whole of a man's being, but is so comprehensive as to reach out to every condition and circumstance of his life, right? And man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts. Everything you experience is birthed from your thoughts, and everything you feel is projected in your outer world, right? We are the sum of our thoughts and feelings, and how we carry ourselves, how we interact with others, what we draw towards ourselves, and what is drawn towards us is correlated to our thoughts, our feelings, and our vibration, what's within. Now, I believe that at a high level, everyone understands this. They understand the concept that positive thoughts yield positive outcomes. But the more you listen and re-listen to the work of James Allen and like authors, the more you see that he's referring to the basic principles of creation, in the sense that you become what you think about. And if you truly invest in your thoughts, you will notice that your thoughts have the power to create your external world. What you experience through people, places, and circumstances is created by you. You are not the result of your experiences, but your experience is a result of who you are. You have the ability to mold your experiences like clay. So your thoughts can take the shape of what you desire. And then people, places, and circumstances will reflect this. And knowing this now, I create from a different place. I'm able to create with more ease and flow in my life. But prior to this, I would focus my efforts on the external world as a way to create. I subscribe to the old teaching that if I took action, I would yield the results that I wanted, how I wanted. But I failed to see how incorrect this was. Now, through the books of James Allen and As a Man Thinketh, what it's doing is it's removing the obstructions that are preventing you from seeing. It's pulling away the cloth that's preventing you from seeing the way it should be. And this is a challenge, right? Because that cloth that is covering your eyes and is preventing you from seeing has been inherited by you from a young age, right? So consequently, all that you see, all that you experience has been limited, right? And growing up, you don't know this. I didn't know this as a man, right? You have expectations as to what it means to be a man based on what you've been told, based on what has been passed down to us, based on what my parents have told me, what my peers are telling me, what society at large is telling me, what I've been programmed to believe, right? But then the question becomes, at some point you ask yourself, are these messages limited in moving me away from my desires, away from my true self, or are these messages empowering and moving me in alignment with my higher self and who I'm meant to be? James Allen quote states, "Man is made or unmade by himself. In the memory of thought, he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself. He also fashions the tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace." Meaning your thoughts are the driving force behind what you attract in your life, whether you know it or not, right? Your conscious mind is responsible for 5% of what you create in this world, and your subconscious mind is responsible for 95% of what you experience in life. What's impressed on the subconscious reflects what we believe, and this is expressed and experienced in our outside world. So the question becomes, what is being impressed on your subconscious mind? Are you creating from fear, from doubt, from lack, from limited beliefs? Or are we creating from joy, from courage, from strength and empowering beliefs? Because as James Allen stated, man is made and unmade by himself. In the armory of thoughts, he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself, and he also fashions the tools with which he creates for himself heavenly mansions of joy. Your thoughts have the power to either lift you up or tear you down. So we need to ask ourselves if we are armoring ourselves with tools that lift us up or arming ourselves with tools that bring us down. Because what stands between you and what you desire are all the things that you believe are greater than you, all the things that keep you shackled or imprisoned to your histories, your fears, your limited beliefs, your doubts, your insecurities, your hesitations. The things that say you can't be who you desire to be, or that you can't have what you want to have because you can't see the outcome or the finish line, so it can't be so. But at the end of the day, these are all beliefs. So we need to ask ourselves, A, where did we get these beliefs from? And can we replace these beliefs with more empowering beliefs? We need to begin to recognize how we get in our own way so we can get out of our way, so we can step into what we truly desire for ourselves. You have to ask yourself, where in your life are you getting in your own way? Where in your life are you allowing limited beliefs, doubts, fears, and limitations to hold you back? Where in your life are you aligning with the false self, right? Because it is choice. We have free will. We can either align with the false self that keeps us small and we get in our own way, or we can align with the higher self. We could say, I can't do this. I don't know how I'm going to do this, and I can't see the finish line. Or I can align with my desires and I say, I am who I am. I am courageous. I am prosperous. I am what I desire to be because I know that I'm aligned with spirit. I know that I'm aligned with my higher intelligence. When we fixate on things, we see things as they are. We can't see past them. But when we align with our higher self, it's almost like we elevate beyond form, beyond this situation, and we can see that this too will pass as long as we stay in alignment with our desires. And this is how we move with more grace and more ease and more flow, because we know that we're constantly being guided. So even that situation has growth attached to it, but ultimately it's choice. As James Allen said, by the right choice and true application of thought, man ascends to the divine perfection. By the abuse and wrong application of thought, he descends below the level of the beast. So, what does he mean by this? He's saying that when you align with your true self, you move away from the false self. You are aligning with divine intelligence. Your divine self is always trying to reach you trying to guide you, trying to align you with your higher power. It's sending you signs, symbols, and synchronicities so you can be in accord with its vibration, the vibration of what you're calling in, right? It communicates with you through imagination, meditation, through dreams, via medium of personal symbols, you know. So what James Allen is talking about when he's talking about ascending to divine perfection, really what he's referring to is your higher self. You know, some say divine essence, spirit, soul, consciousness, but it's aligning with this aspect of you that allows you to bring forth what is truly meant for you. Now, the challenge is we are born on this third dimension plane, right? So we forget at times who we truly are and what we're truly capable of, right? We disconnect from our spiritual nature because we've been navigating in this experience of matter. And through our experience, we develop ego, also referred to as the false self. And the false self feels separated from spirit. And when you align with the false self, you look outside of yourself for happiness because you're not aware of who you are, right? The false self is driven by personality and ego that wants validation and is driven by fear, is driven by scarcity. And when you create from this space, you're more primal, you're more reactive. You respond almost like in a fight or flight mode. And as James Allen said, you descend to the level of the beast, right? And you see this, and maybe you've seen this, or maybe you experience this. And this is what I mean when I'm referring to living in a place where you're constantly chasing, living in your place where you're constantly looking for that next promotion, living in a place where you're constantly go, 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 living in a place where you receive validation for self by the more you accomplish and the more you achieve. And, you know, if you're not careful, you can live your entire life like this. And I know this because I was guilty of this, right? I believe that I wanted material things to make me happy because that's what I thought I should do. And when you look at it historically, that's how things had always been done, you know? So I kind of agreed to this because those that came before me told me that this is how you gain success and this is how you gain validation. And these are the things that should make you happy. Now, when you analyze this and when you analyze these things, you realize that the way you know yourself in many ways is decided by you in ways you're not even aware of, right? You just have gone along with it, right? You realize that you are informed by many things about who and what you are. And those things may not necessarily be what you truly desire for yourself. So at the end of the day, it's really about deconditioning yourself and aligning with your true self, taking the time to know yourself so you can align with what really is aligned with divine perfection. As you do this, you create space for you to ascend, but to be reactive, to stay in your programming, to allow limiting beliefs, doubts, and fears to dictate who you believe you are is to descend to the level of the beast, is to be more reactive, is to be in a primal state, is to be in a state of fight or flight, to believe that I need these things in order to survive. I need external validation because I can't provide it for myself. I need someone else to tell me that I'm good enough to feel good. I need the promotion, the next job, more money to feel accomplished, when we can feel accomplished by providing that to our own self. Of all the beautiful truths pertaining to the soul, which have been restored and brought to light in this age, none is more gladdening or fruitful of divine promise and confidence than this: that man is the master of his thought, the molder of character, and the maker and shaper of condition, environment, and destiny. You know, when we know this, we understand that we have choice. And no matter what your past experiences have been, at any point, we can make a conscious choice to change our circumstances. You know, and if you can see that your experiences are here to help you grow, you can see things in a positive way. You know, but sometimes we've mistaken ourselves for our history and what has happened to us in the past. And we identify ourselves through the people, places, and circumstances that we see in the world. But what we need to do is change our perception. And if we change the way we look at things, the things that we look at will change. We have that power within us to really mold and shape our environment and our destiny. You know, as we navigate this material plane, what James Allen is getting us to see is that the manifestations that we encounter can also limit us if we identify ourselves to these manifestations. You know, personally speaking, for me, the way this looked was I would spend majority of my life aligning to a role or to a position. For instance, I am the father, or I am the executive, or whatever the role would be for me. And it's going to be very individual. But as you reflect, it's saying, what is defining you? What are you fixated on? What are you dedicating your entire life towards, striving for? And as you are fulfilled by this, is it constantly getting you to go outside of yourself? Because when we go outside of ourselves, we fail to do the work to go within. And claiming yourself as something is always in opposition of something else. Therefore, it's knowing that your truth is found by going within. You know, as James Allen said, by much searching and mining are gold and diamonds obtained. A man can find every truth connected to his being if he will dig deep into the mind of his soul. You know, if we spend our whole lives looking outside of self, we disconnect with our truth of who we are. You know, and when we know ourselves, we don't bind ourselves to our creations. You know, think of the energetics around chasing what you desire versus knowing that what's meant for you will ultimately find you. You know, so we need to begin to ask ourselves, how are we caring for our mind, our thoughts, our feelings, our vibration? You know, are we taking self inventory of what is impressed on our subconscious and expressed in the outer world? Are we paying attention to what's distracting us, limited beliefs, doubts, fears, and indecisions, the people, places, and circumstances that we encounter, the people that we befriend, who we're listening to, what we're watching, what we're taking in? Are we being mindful of those things? Are we paying attention to what we say, how our language and how we articulate ourselves has limited beliefs and limited decisions in that? Or are we surrounding ourselves with empowering people? Are we reading things that are aligning us with our higher selves? Are we surrounding ourselves with community and like minded people that lift us up? You know, as James Allen said, man's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seeds will fall therein. So the question becomes, how do you tend to your mind? How do you rid yourself of useless thoughts? How are you the master gardener of your soul? How do you filter what's impressed on your subconscious and what's expressed in your outside world? When we know that our outer world is a reflection of our inner world, we want to consider everything that we allow into our consciousness. You know, what are you allowing into your space? What information are you allowing into your ecosystem, right? You reap what you sow. Are you sowing negative thoughts or positive thoughts? Are you spending time with negative or positive people? Are you inserting yourself into environments that support your desires and dreams? Because if we plant positive thoughts, we will live in our worth and we will change our landscape. For me, as I was transitioning, I really had to come to terms with a lot of the things that I was doing. And for me, when I wanted to change my circumstances, I had to come to terms with a lot of the things that I was doing, a lot of the people that I was surrounding myself and with, and a lot of the things that I wanted out of my life. You know, for me, it got to a place where I had to ask myself, does my current situation reflect what I want for my life? Are the people, places, and circumstances that I'm associating with, that I'm surrounding myself with, reflect my true desires? And this is something that I believe that everyone will encounter at some point in time, whether it's family members, friends, acquaintances, work environments, relationships. Do these support my growth? Are they best for me? Do they encourage my growth? Or is it time for me to shift into an environment, to shift into a relationship, to align with a job that's more supportive in the direction of my life that I'm going? You know, when you begin to see life as transitional and constantly transforming and shifting and changing, then you're not going to see things as so rigid. You're going to understand that the relationships that we had were there for us to also grow and evolve. You could see that the jobs that you were in were the jobs that allowed you to kind of grow and evolve. You take what you need to take out of them so that you can move into the higher being that you're meant to be. And this is the one thing that we need to understand. As we grow, as we evolve, we will transition, shift, and change. But those changes are meant for us so we can align with our true self, so we can begin to call in what's truly meant for us. Thought and character are one. And character can only manifest and discover itself through environment and circumstances. The outer conditions of a person's life will always be found harmoniously related to his inner state, meaning your circumstances are highly correlated to your inner being, right? Circumstances do not make a man, it reveals him to himself, right? As the saying goes, men do not attract that in which they want, but they attract that in which they are. Now, some may see this as disempowering because it's easier to blame people, places, and circumstances for our challenges, for our shortcomings, right? Because it takes the onus off of us and puts it on someone else rather than ourselves. But there are others that will choose to see this as empowering because what it's saying is no matter the situation, you can always find a way to adjust your environment, right? No matter the situation, you can choose to see that those are your creations. And because they're your creations, it's revealing to you what your level of consciousness is. So as you raise your level of consciousness and your frequency and your vibration, you align to a higher version of yourself and your situation will begin to change. You realize that you attune to what you claim and what you are within, and your world is simply just a reflection of this. Right? What you claim is what you attract to yourself. What you become is what you experience. As above, so below, as below, so above. These are basic principles and basic laws as to how we navigate and operate the world with more ease and more flow. When one doesn't know this, they're living on the effect side of things. But when one understands this, they're really able to shift what they experience in their life. And this is how we live a life with more ease and flow. James Allen goes on to state that every man is where he is by the law of his character. The thoughts which he has built into his character have brought him there. And in the arrangement of his life, there is no element of chance, but all is the result of law which cannot err. Right? As above, so below. As below, so above. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Right? Chance is but the name of law not recognized, right? There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law, right? The Kabbalion, which means things are not random, but rather everything happens for a reason. When you begin to take a look at the effects of your life, you realize that there are several planes of causes: thinking, imagination, vibration, feeling. Conscious states are just a few forms of causes that can contribute to one's effect. And now, how does this play out for the most of us? Well, if we desire, say, financial abundance, but we think that we cannot create it, and we impress this on our subconscious and we express this in our external world, right? The lack or the inability to live out our desire is usually based on a thought, which is usually the primal cause as to why we're not experiencing what we want to experience, right? So it's important that we understand that there is no such thing as chance. Nothing comes from nothing, meaning if something appears to happen by chance, this is just because the cause is simply not recognized, right? We have to see that the things that happen to us can have a history of causes, whether it's hereditary, whether it's from our environment, whether it's from our friends, people, places, and circumstances, our vibration, our imagination, our desires, our feelings, and our emotions. All these play a factor into how we create what we attract, who we become, and what we impress on our subconscious and what we believe to be true will be expressed on our outside world and projected into our reality. When we understand this, we are no longer subject to the circumstances of our lives, but rather we can determine the outcome. And this is how we have more ease and flow. Man is continually revolting against an effect without, while all the time he is nourishing and preserving its causes in its heart. That cause may take the form of a conscious vice or an unconscious weakness, but whatever it is, it stubbornly retards the efforts of its processor and thus calls aloud for remedy. What you experience in your reality is a result of what your inner world is reflecting. So rather than fighting the effect, we have to go within and address the true cause. And as we do, we begin to change what we experience in the outside world. Good thoughts and actions can never produce bad results, and bad thoughts and actions can never produce good results. This is but saying that nothing can come from corn but corn, nothing from nettles but nettles. Therefore, whether you're in agreement with it or not, your outside world will be a reflection of your inner world. When we desire something, but our beliefs are not aligned with our desires, what we produce and what we experience from people, places, and circumstances will reflect our beliefs. Right, as the saying goes, you attract what you are, not what you want in your life. Therefore, if you want to receive good fortune in your life, we have to instill and plant seeds of joy and positivity so we can experience those in our outer world. A man only begins to be a man when he ceases to whine and revel and commences to search for the hidden justice which regulates his life. And as he adapts his mind to that regulating factor, he ceases to accuse others as the cause of his conditions. And he builds himself up in strong and noble thoughts, ceases to kick against circumstances, but begins to use them as aids to his more rapid progress and as a means of discovering the hidden powers and possibilities within himself. When you begin to look inwards instead of looking outwards, you begin to give yourself an opportunity for true growth. You realize that people, places, and circumstances are always aligning you towards what you truly desire, what you require in life. And so, therefore, it's not about fighting against circumstances. It's not against swimming against the current. It's not against running through things to make things work, forcing people to do things to get your way, or forcing yourself to do things, or overworking, right? Or blaming others for being angry or frustrated and not getting what you want. But it's about taking your attention off the outside world. This is the best place for us to do. Anywhere you experience resistance in your life, take a small place where things are not necessarily going where you want to go, and you feel the need, the urge, default reaction to try to force things to happen your way, right? You're trying to manipulate the external world because you're frustrated. You're blaming people for what's happening in your life. But it's about taking your attention off the outside world and going within. Take that journey back. And through this, we understand our gifts, which are ultimately here to set you free. It's trying to rid you of those old self-defeating, those old self-defeating patterns that are keeping you small, right? It's giving you a new perspective so you can see the beauty in the magnificence of who you truly are. And then when you understand that you can make choices that are better for your life, that are more in alignment with your true nature, then you can work within the realm of your true nature so that you can align to the things that are meant for you. Let man radically alter his thoughts, and he will be astonished at the rapid transformation it will effect in the material conditions of his life. Men imagine that thought can be kept secret, but it cannot. It rapidly crystallizes into habit, and habit solidifies into circumstances. So the question is, are your desires aligned with your beliefs, right? Because we know that your beliefs have the ability to be crystallized and brought into form. So that is the question. Are your experiences congruent with what you desire for yourself, right? This is the starting place for self-analysis and taking inventory, right? Because the world is full of different opinions and different beliefs. And as long as there's different people out there, this is not going to change, right? So now we need to figure out, is the beliefs that we're listening to, are they aligned with who you want to be and what you've always dreamt of, right? All the beliefs that have kept you from living your life the way you want are limiting ones. And those are the ones we need to get rid of. And by doing this, you give yourself a chance to create the life that you've always wanted. Now, a way to align with the life we always wanted is through our dreams. Your dreams have the ability to create in fourth dimension what you desire on this third dimensional plane. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, you shall become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. Your dreams involve seeing events, images, and symbols that predict the future, as per Never Godled. Your dreams help the unseen become seen, and it's a way of bridging where you currently are with where you desire to be. A man becomes calm in the measure that he understands himself as thought evolved being. For such knowledge necessitates the understanding of others as a result of thought. And as he develops a right understanding, he sees more and more clearly the internal relations of things by the action of cause and effect. He ceases to fuss and fume and worry and grieve and remains poised, steadfast, and serene. When you understand the truth of who you are, what you have to give, what you're capable of, you understand the measure of who you are. You're not going to claim your strength in material things in the outside world. You claim your strength in your knowingness. I am that I am, right? You come to an understanding that your thoughts and emotions and vibration and imagination are responsible for what you become, right? You identify with your higher self. So you have no need to know yourself or value yourself just solely based on creations of the false self, on things, on form, on material, right? You understand that your creations are all malleable. So there's no need to invest or fixate on them, right? And knowing yourself is knowing that you also have the power to go within and create what you want. But in order to do this, we have to see how valuable we are, and we have to put the attention back on us, right? We can't allow the distractions of the outer world to derail us. We've been taught for many years that we need to value our jobs, the positions, the titles, the cars, the homes, and as a result we all kind of move towards achieving those things blindly because we're all in accordance with this. But when you do this, you begin to see that the value you give yourself has been based on this historical context on people have always done. So now I'm doing what people have always done, and I rate my worth based on what people outside me have told me I'm worth. But when you put an end to this and you park that and you start to look within, you start to see that you have true value and you can create what you want. And you're not subject to the outside world dictating what your value is because you know your value. And when you know this, you actually start to understand that I can create what I want in my external world from aligning with who I am. I can bring forth what I desire. I can bring forth what I want to experience. That is how I create with ease and flow. And then as I do that, abundance and opulence will accompany me because I'm creating things that not only help me evolve, but help the collective evolve, help the community evolve, help them grow, help them awaken, and help them live a life with more ease and more flow. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.